Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our session, and we are grateful to IMED for giving us the floor to share with you our work. First of all, we're not journalists. We come from the Informatics School of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. I'm Athena Vakali. I'm a professor and I'm a director of Data and Web Science Lab. And together with me, we have two of our core team colleagues, postdoc Pavlos Erbezis and our postdoc Ilias Dimitriadis. We would like to share with you our results about whether we should trust Twitter or not. So this is the question we would like to answer with you. And we will present to you some of our solutions about bot detection and advanced analytics in Twitter. Of course, journalism and Twitter are well connected. Maybe you as journalists know that better than us, of course. And based on the recent reports, it seems that 70%, at least in the US, of journalists do use Twitter as their prime social media platform. And of course, at the same time, it is reported that 24% of users in Twitter are identified as journalists. Of course, Twitter might be the obvious platform for a journalist because it's very instant. It's very easy to share some news, to circulate news. You can react very, very quickly. You can follow what's going on. And at the same time, you can engage, of course, with the citizens who are out there. Of course, these are the benefits, but there are a lot of issues with regards to trust in Twitter. And of course, that's why we're here. So the first issue, and I'm sure you're all aware of it, is the issue of bot accounts in Twitter. This issue has become really intense since bot accounts, that means the accounts who are automated and who are not humans, are very easy to get and program, and they actually have hijacked Twitter. Probably you are all aware that bot accounts do mimic human behavior, and not only that, they change their behavior very dynamically in an unpredictable manner. So bot accounts have really violated trust in Twitter. They have contributed a lot in misinformation spreading, but also in manipulation of economics, in politics, and so on. And of course, the fake news are propagated primarily by bot accounts. On this side, though, we should refer to the not bad accounts, like bots, who are called actually cyborgs, and who are, you can have the example of news agencies who are actually reporting some authentic news, and they do that in a semi-automatic way. So based on this challenge, on top at least of this challenge, we have another challenge in Twitter as regards to trust, because for a journalist, it's very difficult to follow the volume of posts and let's say, the momentum of it. For example, as you can see from recent statistics and data collections we had in our lab, you can see that we actually can find maybe easy for a journalist to follow a subject like citizen science. It has up to some thousands of tweets daily. When it comes, though, to other subjects who have more intense, maybe, discussion around in Twitter, you can see that gender equality reaches 150,000 tweets per day. And when it comes to more recent and intense topics like the Ukrainian war, you can reach up to 300 million tweets per day. It is not possible for a human, and of course a journalist, to follow such large amount of Twitter posts. Twitter never sleeps, so how can a journalist take, let's say, a meaning, make sense of what's going on there? And last but not least, on the challenges of trust in Twitter, we have the very strong issue of polarization. This has been discussed already yesterday in so many of your very interesting talks. And of course, in our computer science terminology, there are new terms now in terms of this digital, let's say, polarization in social media like Twitter. We call filter bubbles or echo chambers the fact that actually the Twitter algorithms, for example, do suggest to us and recommend to us what we would like to hear. So based on our likes, based on our friends' likes, based on our retweets and so on, we keep getting the information that we would like to hear and the information with which we agree. So the democracy is really hurt, the open dialogue is really hurt, because some of the opponents, let's say, views are never in front of us, they never reach us. So based on those three challenges, we will present to you our solutions, and among our tools, we will focus on three of our tools that we will present later on. All of these tools are based on a common scientific methodology. So what we actually do is described in an abstract manner in this figure, and what you can actually consider as a process here is that, let's say, a journalist can give to us an account or a hashtag or even more, and then what we are doing in a computer science site, we collect data from Twitter API, we process those data in a manner that is processed by our algorithms, we follow artificial intelligence, mainly algorithms, and we produce knowledge and we hope meaningful results to help, let's say, the journalists. So based on this pipeline, as we call it, based on this methodology, we will share with you three of our tools were developed in our lab. And the first one will be presented by Dr. Ilias Dimitriadis. It's about bot detection. We call it actually Bot Detective. And then we have two other tools who will be presented by my colleague, Dr. Pavlos Servezis. The first one, we call it Undo, is a data observatory about the Ukrainian war and the discussion that was held in Twitter. And the last, but not least, is the what we call political lighthouse, which actually identifies and visualizes the strong polarization in Twitter, and we will share with you some results about the Greek political agenda. So I will give the floor to Ilias to present bot detection.
Hello, everyone. So, the first that we're going to present is Bot Detective, but before we proceed, let's see what's going on with bots on Twitter. Well, recent studies, peer-reviewed studies, showed that 33% of the content circulating on Twitter is actually bot-generated. Also, 2/3 of the total URLs that are circulating Twitter are also coming from bots. And finally, a recent study stated that 10% of all Twitter accounts are actually bots. According to my opinion, these are quite high numbers. And to get a better look at the significance of the problem, let's see what our friend Elon Musk says. If our Twitter bid succeeds, we will defeat the spam bots or die trying. This tweet actually highlights the significance of the problem, and it also highlights the amount of effort that needs to be put in order to be solved. But how can you recognize bot activity? How can you recognize bots in Twitter? Let's see what Jack Dorsey, which is a co-founder of Twitter and the former CEO of Twitter, has to say.
My wife is Joni, asks, how can I identify a Twitter bot? I have suspicions over one or two I see, but cannot prove it at Twitter support. Well, I'm from Missouri, which is a show-me state. We're all skeptics, and I would always recommend that we be skeptical of everything that we see. If you have suspicions, go through a reporting flow, but you don't necessarily have to assume that everyone is a bot. Some people just haven't updated their profile picture, and some folks haven't chosen their own ad name. So if you see something that is suspicious, we have a reporting flow. You can send it over to us, and we'll look for it. Always be skeptical.
Okay, so this was a live Q&A session held on YouTube between Jack Dorsey and Twitter users. And what do we get from that? Always be skeptical. So you as journalists are skeptical by default or should be. However, a recent study showed that tech-savvy users that are familiar with technology, are able to tell apart new bots from legitimate users only 24%. I mean, once in 4 times. So that's where Bot Detective gets into the game. So Bot Detective is a web application whose main concept is to help you identify Twitter users as bots, humans, or specific type of bots. And how can you use it? You visit our channel, our publicly available web application. You input the Twitter handle that you want to check. The application analyzes the activity. It extracts some specific characteristics, and based on these characteristics, it is able to classify an account as a human, as a bot, or a specific type of bot. And it also provides some explanations behind this decision. So what these explanations are? These characteristics that I mentioned earlier, they are actually referring to specific parts of the Twitter user's activity. So for example, the temporal characteristics refer to the gap between sequential tweets, or one of the characteristics is such one. And these features, these characteristics, we provide explanations which of them led our machine learning model, pushed our machine learning model to make such a decision. So next, I'll give the floor to Pavlos, my teammate.
Hello, Pavlos. And let's now forget for a while that bots exist in Twitter. And let's get to a second problem that the journalist may have in Twitter. Let's say a journalist wants to follow a topic and see what people say out there in Twitter for news gathering, or to hear the public opinion, or to get some extra news, etc. And let's say that this topic is huge, like in the Ukraine war. In our analysis, we have done the first couple of months after the Ukraine war has started. There have been millions of tweets per day about this topic, posted by 800,000 users per day, and these users were using like 27,000 hashtags per day. So let's say you are a citizen and you want to get informed about Ukraine through Twitter, or you are a journalist and you want to make an article. How can you track all this information? This is huge information. Can you see all the opinions, or what are the trends? It's impossible for any one of us to do it manually. And that was our motivation for building the second tool we present you today, Undo. It's the Ukraine Data Observatory. So what Undo does, we provide to Undo a set of hashtags related to the Ukraine war, and we collect all the tweets from Twitter about this topic. This is a huge amount of information. It's several gigabytes of tweets per day, which is really large information, especially when it comes to Twitter, that it's a couple of words in each tweet. So we analyze all these tweets with our algorithms, and we provide simple visual results that any one of us can see, and see what are the trends in Twitter, what people discuss about Twitter. So you can go to our portal and see what are the top tweets for a specific period, what are the topics that people have discussed about, what are the hashtags they have used, and also what are the top URLs that have been shared by people. Is it URLs from some news articles, or from some cryptocurrency sites? There have been a lot of URLs to these sites. And also you can see who are the people that most actively tweet about these topics, and who are the people who influence a lot of other people. And coming to this, when we were checking through our portal some of the data, we observed that there were some users that posted up to 1,000 tweets per day, which for a human, it's probably quite strange, it's not normal. So we said, okay, let's analyze these users, what type of users they are. And we used our Bot Detective tool. And a very interesting finding, it was that among the top active users, 3 out of 5 of them, they were bots. So that's an indication, an extra indication after all of these results that we have presented you, that bots play an important role in political discussions in Twitter. On the other side, we also analyzed who are the top influential users, not those that tweet a lot, but those that are followed and impact a lot other people. The good news here is that these are not bad bots, like spam bots and this kind of bots. 83% of them are cyborgs. And what does it mean in this specific case? It's like news agencies or journalists that are really influencers. And this is relatively good news because it's not bots. On the other side, Twitter is considered a medium that it's quite democratic and everyone can tell his opinion and heard. But what do these results tell us? Is it really that the case? Or the influential guys are still the mass media out there? So, what we have done about the Ukraine war is just a use case. The basis of our tool can be customized and it can follow any other topic. So, you can give us a set of hashtags or keywords you want to follow in Twitter. We collect all the data and we can present you similar results about statistics, about top opinions, etc. And now let's get to our third tool. It's the political lighthouse. And our motivation for this was to explore what's the polarization in political discussions in Twitter, and in particularly in Greek political discussions. So we gathered data about some different topics. The graph I show you here, it's about the tappings, it's about the surveillance that has happened. And we collected all data, all tweets about these discussions, and we found who were the users that were doing these tweets. In this graph here, you can see a lot of dots. Each dot corresponds to a Twitter account. Some dots are blue. These are the guys that are followers of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the Prime Minister of Greece and the head of the right party. And we also colored red the guys, the user accounts, who are followers of Alexis Tsipras, the head of the left party in Greece. And the black dots are those who follow both of them. And we connect two dots when they interact with each other. So if a guy retweets something from another guy, then we put a link. Now, what does these visualizations tell us? We can see two quite distinct groups, the blue group and the red group, that they do not interact a lot, which means that the blue guys talk with the blue guys, the red guys with the red guys. And think that you are a citizen and you want to get informed from Twitter, and you are a red guy, and you only hear the red voices because of your network or the people. Or if you are a journalist, this may also apply to a journalist, you may also have some specific audience. So at first, you don't get exposed to other opinions, and this may also affect your opinion. And we did it also for other topics. So this is a second example. You can see more examples on our online tool. This second example, it's about the university police. What we can see here is that there is extra polarization. So in some cases, the problem is more intense. Some other cases, the problem is less intense. One can explore different of these cases in our portal, and we plan to continue and add extra discussions and explorations about them. So, to sum up, what we have presented you today, we presented you a set of tools. They are online, they are free, they are public. You can easily use them. So, Bot Detective, you go, you put a Twitter account, click enter, and then you see if it's a bot or not, and some extra information. For Undo, you can go and select a period and see what were the trends about the discussions in Ukraine. And Political Lighthouse, you can explore different discussions. But, and why we are here, it's because these are only part of the things that can be done. We have done them as data scientists. We are not journalists. So, if you come to us with some research questions and tell us, I want to explore this because this is important for the society. We can dig into data, collect data, and provide you with data, with facts, extra results, statistics. And then, again, you come, take these results, and you write a nice article, and you can reach the citizens, the society, which still it's not our part. So we think there is a lot of room for collaboration, and we are really open to collaboration on these kind of topics. So if you like some of these tools, you can check our leaflets here, you can come and talk to us, or drop us an email. And with this, we would like to thank you, and we are open to any questions.
Okay.
So I had a question about, so you showed some figures on like the proportion of content that is generated by bots, and I had some questions more specifically about your figure of over 10% of accounts on Twitter are bot accounts. And the reason I ask is because, like, for anyone who's familiar with like the current Twitter acquisition, there's like some dispute over the true number or the true proportion of Twitter users that are bot accounts. And so I'm curious, like, A, how you got your metric or where you got it from, and B, like what's your confidence level in that estimation, I guess.
Okay, so these results were based on peer-reviewed studies. That means that they were published in conferences or journals that have been peer-reviewed. They refer to specific data sets. And if you ask my personal opinion, since I'm a researcher on the same topic, I would say that it depends on the topic that you are taking. For example, cryptocurrencies, I think 33% and 10% are really low numbers. I believe it's more than 90% because they need to flood Twitter with information and see who is going to fall for it. But there are also different interpretations of what a bot is. For example, let me ask you something. Do you consider a news agency a bot?
Yes, but not a malicious one.
Exactly.
Yes, but not a malicious one.
Exactly. So there is an automated way to post stuff on Twitter. So you may be writing an article and then get it posted automatically on Twitter. At the same time, many colleagues of your organization may do the same. So if you check this out as an activity, it will be bot-like. You are not a bot, but you are also. So this is let's say, an abstract interpretation of what a bot is, and this actually plays with these percentages. But as I told you before, I think it totally depends on the data and the specific topic that you refer to.
Okay.
Maybe, just to add to what Elias said, when you go to our bot detective tool, it tells you what kind of bot you are similar to and what is the percentage you are similar to this kind of bot. So it doesn't just tell you that you are a bot or not, it tells you you are similar to cyber, similar to spam bots, similar to something else.
And when you calculated these metrics, did you try to take these things into account and detect whether or not a bot was a good or bad bot, or were you calculating it just for any bot?
All these metrics actually come from annotated data sets. So in order to build a machine learning model, usually you need labels. So you are a human. So I'll check your account and I know that you're a human. I train my algorithm to understand that you are a human, so you have specific characteristics. All this data that we have used have been annotated and evaluated appropriately, accordingly. So what we have as label data are actually credible. And we built our algorithms based on the training. We trained our algorithms in similar data sets. We didn't just by our personal opinion, judged specific accounts. We just used labeled annotated datasets that are open datasets, public to everyone, and have been evaluated and validated.
Great, thank you so much.
If I may add to that, during our research, we also noticed that some of the accounts that we have spotted as bot accounts, they were later being spotted by Twitter itself, who actually really suspended the account. So in a way, it was also a practical, in a sense, verification, let's say, of what we did. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you very much. It was very useful. I use Twitter a lot. I had no idea about these tools, it's kind of scary sometimes because we use Twitter like as journalists or whatever, and then you guys come and show us these tools, and we're like, oh my God, you know what? You know, it's like starting from zero again. And I wanted to ask, first of all, so your political lighthouse, does it take into account only Greek tweets, or is it something that we can do, like topics that are in Greece, but also, is it just hashtags, Greek hashtags, or can it be topics that are in Greece, but not just the Greek writers or the users?
It can be anything. Give us a hashtag, maybe even your name, and we can we can build a graph like this. We just started with some use cases about the Greek political trending topics. So even the selection of the topics, as I told you before, we are not generalists. We took the top trends and we did some initial analysis. If there is some specific interest for a specific topic, either in Greece or in another country, we can do these kind of things.
Okay. And also with the bot detective, the same, so you can check accounts that are, let's say, Persian or Arabic. Everything.
Yeah.
And the same. So it doesn't, it's not like location or language specific. Okay, thank you.
If I may add about the polarization, I think it is important to see the different phases of polarization, because as you saw, there are some polarized, very clearly polarized groups of people. There are some topics which we might find surprising, that actually there is, let's say, a mixing of opinions. So we believe that based on your input, of course, because you are the ones as journalists who can interpret the results, and this is very helpful to our research, we can, of course, produce qualitative results who make sense, first for the journalists, then for the citizens. And that's really important for us. Thank you.
Because there is too much discussion about the role of social media in how people get information and news today, I just wanted, that is not a question, I just wanted to point out for colleagues journalists being here that based on your research about Ukraine, 83, if I remember correctly, of the most influential accounts on Twitter were cyborgs, including news organizations. So that is a super interesting finding for me, because it helps journalists remember that it has been almost 17 years now from the time Mark Zuckerberg's thing came into life, and that those are too many years. We are responsible for the communication and the information circulating in social media, and basically it's not a citizen's thing anymore. It is one more channel for journalists and media and other organizations to release information. Is that right? Probably you have similar findings or not from other projects apart from the Ukraine thing.
I don't really have to add something on what you said, so this is right. An interesting fact here is that these were cyborgs. Cyborgs are mainly news sites and not journalists. So we did a quick experiment yesterday. We checked of the participants here, the Twitter accounts, the journalists, what bot detective could give. They are humans. They are not cyborgs. The journalists themselves as, not their news sites.
And actually, the Kiev Independent, which you host today, are one of the most influential accounts in Twitter. I think they hold the third position, if I remember correctly. So I think you get your answer as well.
So you invited the right ones. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.